En el video Automatización parte 1, vimos cómo asociar un objeto transacción a la tarea de registro de
In
reserva
the
de
video titled
pasajes.
Automation Part 1,
Continuando con nuestro
we saw
diagrama
how
de
to associate a
procesos,
transaction
una vez
object
que se
with a task
registró la
relative to
reserva,
recording travel ticket
debemos evaluar
reservations.
si el pasajero es
As
o
we
no
continue
cliente
with
de
our
la
process
empresa.
diagram, once the reservation
Esto
has been
significa que
recorded,
cuando
we
estamos
must determine
ingresando los
whether the
datos de la
passenger is
reserva
one of the
en la
company's
pantalla de
customers
la
or not.
transacción Reservation,
This
si el
implies
que hace
that,
la reserva
as
no
we
es
enter the
cliente de la
reservation data
empresa,
into the
no
screen of the
ingresaremos
reservation
un valor en el
transaction,
atributo Customer
when
ID.
the individual booking is not
Para
a
hacer la
customer,
evaluación del
we will not
cliente,
enter a value in
hacemos
the
doble
customer
clic
ID
en el
attribute.
conector que une el Exclusive Gateway is
To
the
assess the
Passenger
customer,
a
we
Customer
double-click on the
con la
connector
tarea
that links
Record
the
Customer
exclusive gateway
y vemos que se
is the
abre una
passenger a
ventana del
customer
editor de condiciones.
with the record customer task,
Para evaluar si no queremos ingresar
and we
valor,
will be opening a window of
digitamos
the conditions editor. To
reservation.customer
determine whether
ID
we enter a value
igual
or
a
not,
0.
we type
Observemos que usamos el nombre de la
reservation.customer
transacción
ID
para calificar el
equals 0.
atributo Customer ID. Para
Note that we
distinguir
use
el
the
atributo que es
transaction's
clave
name to
foránea en
identify
la
the customer
transacción
ID attribute,
Reservation
in
del
order to
atributo
determine the
Customer ID que es
attribute that is
clave
foreign
primaria
key in the
de la
reservation
transacción
transaction,
Customer.
corresponding to the
Presionemos
customer
OK
ID attribute
y
that is
volvamos al
primary key
diagrama.
of the customer transaction.
Ya hemos ingresado una condición al
Now
conector
let's press
etiquetado
OK
con
and get
no.
back to the diagram.
Sin embargo,
We've
no es
already
necesario
entered a
ingresar una
condition in the
condición
connector
opuesta a la
labeled
anterior
no.
en el conector marcado con yes,
However,
ya que el
it's
mismo lo
not
habíamos
necessary to
marcado
enter a
como
condition
default.
opposite to the previous one in
En
the
este
connector
caso,
labeled with
de no
yes,
cumplirse la
because we
condición
already
ingresada en
indicated
el
it as
no,
default.
automáticamente el flujo del programa seguirá
In
por
this
la
case,
conexión
if the
yes.
condition entered in the no is not
Ahora,
accomplished,
hagamos
then
clic
the
en la
program
tarea
flow
Record
will automatically
Customer y en
continue
su
through the
propiedad.
yes connection. Now let's click on the record customer task and its application property and associate it with the customer transaction. We will see that the relevant data customer ID is created. Now let's press OK and execute our process diagram for the first time. But before we do that, let's complete the conditions of the other gateways in the diagram so we don't get an error in the execution. We only have one more, so we double-click on the connection that links the exclusive gateway, do you make another reservation, with the ticket reservation transaction, and, for the time being, we set its value as true. Further ahead, we will set the corresponding condition for it. To execute our diagram, we right-click on the diagram name and select Run. Since this is the first time we execute the diagram, the database will be created as well as the tables that will store the definitions of the process we model. This information is called metadata and is managed by the workflow engine for executing and administering processes. After the specification, generation and compilation of the KB's objects are complete, we will see the start of a window in the browser showing a main window of GXFlow client. This application enables us to execute, monitor, and manage the execution of processes. It's divided into 3 sections. At the top is a header with the date, time, and user that's logged in, which in this case is the workflow administrator. And to the left is an options menu. The section in the middle is an inbox where we can view the tasks that are pending and have been assigned to the logged in user. Since we haven't defined roles or users yet, we can see that the user assigned by default is the workflow administrator, which will be capable of viewing and executing all the processes defined. At the top, in the incoming box, we can see several buttons for executing actions on the tasks. When we focus on the contents of the incoming box, a subject column that shows flight ticket reservation, the name of our process, and in the task column is the ticket reservation task. To execute the ticket reservation task, we can press the execute button. As we expected, we can see that the reservation transaction opens up for us to enter the reservation. We leave the identifier with no value because it's auto-numbered, and select today's date, then type value 1 to indicate that the reservation is for a passenger who's not one of the agency's customers. So we do not know the passenger's customer identifier, and that's why we leave it at 0. We will also leave empty the checkbox indicating whether the reservation is available or not, because this will be evaluated further ahead. We press confirm, and we'll see that the record was added correctly. Then we press X to close the form. In the inbox, we will see that the task status has changed to in process. This indicates that the task is ready to be sent, so we press send. We can see that the task that's now pending for execution is record customer. Looking at our process diagram, we can see that upon finalizing the ticket reservation task, where the reservation transaction was executed, the process flowed to the exclusive gateway, is the passenger a customer? Then, the condition we had entered in the connector labeled with no was evaluated. Note that, in the condition, we only make reference to the value of the customer ID attribute in the reservation, without specifying the reservation involved. As we said before, for each primary key in a transaction, one piece of relevant data is created that's mapped with the value of the attribute. The relevant data will contain the value of the reservation ID attribute that was instanced upon creating the reservation. So, that value will be known throughout the diagram, and our position will always be in that reservation. Since we left customer ID with no value, the condition will be fulfilled, and the following task executed will be record customer, as the incoming tray indicated. To execute the task, we first select it and then press the execute button. We can see that the customer transaction screen opens up for us to enter the individual corresponding to the reservation as a new customer for the travel agency. Once we confirm the entry, we must associate the customer just created with the reservation we'd entered.